into the long weekend madness is underway, and 2 Canadian soldiers held by the Viet Cong should be free in a few hours. David DeLoye, CHUM News at 3. Already traffic jams reported in the Toronto area as residents try and beat the hectic fun that'll start after most get off of work in a few hours. As far as weather is concerned, tonight and tomorrow won't be the best. Cloudy skies, some showers, but the weatherman promises some clearing for Sunday and Monday. Those 2 Canadian members of the Vietnamese International Control Commission who are missing are now reported to be safe.
External Affairs Minister Sharp told the Commons that Captains Ian Patton of Toronto and Fletcher Thompson of Ottawa are safe and should be returned to their base camp within hours. On a routine mission yesterday, the 2 Canadian officers were stopped at a Viet Cong roadblock. There were reports that the Viet Cong in that area did not believe an ICCS really existed, and they thought Canadians were imposters. The Jeep in which the 2 Canadian officers were riding was clearly marked with ICCS insignia. All Canadian personnel will be out of Vietnam by the end of next month. From Parliament Hill, Jack Derwin, Contemporary News.
The 2 officers are being held about 35 miles southeast of Saigon. A 16-year-old Agincourt youth dead following an accident with a chainsaw near Sudbury yesterday. Randolph Freak, 55, Wishing-Well Drive, severed an artery in his leg. He died apparently in hospital of a cardiac arrest. The Etobicoke Board of Education plans to integrate some retarded children into regular schools. The reason? Elementary enrollment is down and more classroom space is available. The Superintendent of Special Education, Cyril Soros, says although there's more space, the integration idea is really more than an economic one.
But I really believe it's more than that. It's really a change in philosophy. And it's coincidental that space becomes available at the same time that there's a major change in philosophy in working with these youngsters.
The borough is also considering renting at least one school that will be vacant to various social agencies. 2 Toronto high school principals have taken a shot at the search for a top scholar in the grade 13 exams. Thomas Mohan says that comparisons of grade 13 marks are unfair and scholarship should not be based on them. And Seymour Toby says the meaning is lost in comparing various high schools and that the first year of university is the real equalizer. Both maintain that the system was acceptable prior to 1967 because all students then had to write a standardized government exam, which were marked by the Department of Education. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip are now guests of the Eaton family following a brief series of engagements this morning.
The royal couple is sticking close to Toronto for the remainder of the Southern Ontario tour with only 2 hours in public today. The Queen officially opened Scarborough's spanking new $14 million Civic Center, then moved on to Premier Davis's hometown of Brampton for centennial celebrations. The Queen and Philip then met with 25 new Canadian citizens to offer congratulations alongside Secretary of State Hugh Faulkner. Several of the new Canadians, bubbling with excitement, commented on the Queen's apparent tension at the Brampton ceremonies. If such is the case, she'll have some privacy and relaxation the rest of the day at the Eaton Estate in the Calton Hills, then on to the Queen's Plate Saturday afternoon. With the royal tour, Derwin Smith, Contemporary News.
The Queen will attend the Queen's Plate tomorrow afternoon at Woodbine. The Agriculture Department in Ottawa has come up with a new statistic, and we can expect food prices to go up and some of them to go down. Meat will likely stay above last year's level throughout the rest of this year. But if production is as high as anticipated, fresh fruit and vegetable prices will probably be a little less than comparable times last year. The federal government has been accused of using Statistics Canada for partisan political reasons.
Brandishing a copy of a confidential Energy Department memo, Conservative House Leader Jed Baldwin accused the government of subverting the traditional independence of Statistics Canada. Baldwin said the memo asked the Statistics Bureau to assess the amount of coverage the media gave the government's energy analysis. Baldwin says it's all highly improper.
Why should Canadian taxpayers' money be used to glorify MacDonald Trudeau and the rest of that crew?
He demanded the Prime Minister put a stop to the project, but Mr. Trudeau said it was the question and not the Statistics Canada survey which was out of order. From Parliament Hill, Mike Duffy, Contemporary News.
Meanwhile, the government is refusing to say just when it'll bring down its report on national energy requirements. A Conciliation Board report on a contract dispute between the railways and 56,000 employees here in Canada expected to be submitted to Labour Minister John Munro by mid-July. The head of the Conciliation Board says that it will resume hearings on the dispute between 11 railways and non-operating employees next week. The community of Temiskaming, Quebec, east of North Bay, continues to have its problems. Last year, Canadian International Paper closed down the main industry, a paper mill. But now there's talk of it being resold and reopened. Several thousand logs are being held in a boom in the Ottawa River, and the company that contracted for them wants to move them downstream to another of its plants. But local residents, hopeful that the plant will be soon reopened, are stopping the tugs from moving in. So far, the confrontation has been amicable, but there are fears that violence could not be all that far off. Chile has been placed under a state of siege by President Salvador Allende after fighting in the capital of Santiago. This morning, the offices of Contemporary News came under fire. Newsman Arthur Golden tells us...
Television cameraman Ricardo Correa was filming a part of a gun battle from the 11th floor office. Troops on the street saw the reflection of his camera, mistook it for a weapon, and riddled the office with rifle fire. You may be able to hear it. The fighting has now erupted in earnest.
The fighting is the result of an apparent attempt to take over control of the country. Former U.S. Attorney General John Mitchell's lawyer is quoted as saying that Mitchell has no information implicating President Nixon in the Watergate bugging or cover-up. The Washington Post quotes William Hundley as saying that Mitchell's testimony before the U.S. Senate Watergate Committee will in no way incriminate Nixon. Mitchell is scheduled to appear before the Senate Watergate Committee early next month. The American dollar hitting record lows, but European money markets are having other difficulties.
Foreign exchange markets ground to a halt in London and Amsterdam and other centres today following the upvaluation of the West German mark by 5.5%. Everybody now has to work out what they think their currency is worth in dollars, said one London dealer, and it will take a little time to settle down. West Germany's announcement came after a day when there was a rush for marks, as rumours circulated that the currency was about to be upvalued. This is John Hopkins in London.
Here in North America, the stock markets are off slightly today. Former Prime Minister Brian Faulkner in an early leader in the results as they begin to tabulate voting in Northern Ireland. Early returns show about 70% of the eligible voters cast ballots yesterday. The 1 million voters are to elect a 78-seat assembly to replace the Northern Irish Parliament. The leader of the militant American Jewish Defense League is charged in Jerusalem today with attempting to conspire to kidnap and murder foreign politicians in the United States. Rabbi Meir Kahane is also indicted on charges of planning to blow up a foreign embassy and wiretap American companies. Washroom space is at a premium aboard the luxury liner Skyward, which is now steaming full speed to Miami. Most of the 1,000 passengers and crew members are finding their vacation cut short as they're caught short with an outbreak of diarrhea. 3 doctors on board say it's not that serious, other than the discomfort.
Just listen to this. You can make the biggest broadloom buy of your life this Dominion Day weekend at Factory Cargo. Fairweather's 90 young only.
CHUM weather, it'll be mainly cloudy with a few showers today and tomorrow. Overnight, it'll be 62, tomorrow 73. Outlook for Sunday, clearing skies. In Toronto, it's 69 degrees.